Hello, bonjour à tous. I hope you're well. So we're back on this new episode of Reborn Podcast. And today I'm very excited and very grateful to receive Aidan O'Brien. So how are you, Aidan?
I'm good, Ava. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure. I'm really grateful. And with Aidan, we met at an event in Dubai. And when I saw you the first time, I was like, this guy is killing it.
I was speaking at that little event, right?
Yeah,
I remember,
exactly.
Yeah, I did a little talk.
Yes, and I loved it. And Aidan is a professional coach in Dubai, an international speaker, and a podcast host as well.
Yeah.
So
it's my first time being introduced as a podcast host, actually.
Really?
I do have a podcast technically, so yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So Aidan, for those who don't know you, can you introduce yourself and what you're doing?
Sure. So yeah, Aidan O'Brien. I'm from Ireland originally, and I started living in Dubai in 2017. So I've been here quite a while. Even though I spent some time out of Dubai as well, I stayed in Miami 1.5 years. I love America, or I used to anyway. Now I'm not so sure. And yeah, I mean, just I've been doing this coaching and speaking since around 2010. I started working for myself in 2010. Before that was health and fitness, health and wellness, and working on cruise ships and things like working in gyms. But in 2010, I realized I was good on stage. I was good at speaking, good in sales and everything. And that's when I kind of started working for myself and doing my own events. In 2014, then I became a professional coach. I really loved the idea of bringing something out of people. So, mentoring is teaching and training, but coaching is bringing something out. I like to say bringing the truth to the surface. And, I've been doing that since 2014. So all in all, over 14 years working with people in some kind of training or coaching way. And yeah, I've just been doing that quite a while now, and it's what I love to do. I work with individuals from all over the world, but I work with companies, large companies as well. I do a lot of executive coaching and work with the directors and senior people, but I also work with the beginners and like how to get the mindset for entrepreneurship. And, it's often people ask, how do you describe what you do? And I don't really have the words, but hopefully by the end of the podcast today, people can see kind of what I'm about and what I do. But it's generally kind of mindset and high performance and I guess finding your truth, I would say. So that's pretty much a little summary of me. Okay,
great. I love that vision. And I want to know, how was your childhood? Did you have a nice childhood as well?
We're going deep straight away. Yeah, I mean, a great childhood. Like my parents are married like 53 years. They're incredible people. I had a really good childhood. I have one brother and he's 10 years older than me. He's hilarious. And yeah, it was great just growing up. My parents worked hard. And for me, I was just someone who always wanted to travel. When I was 16, I went to Tenerife, which is like one of the Canary Islands. After you probably know it, off the coast of Spain. It's closer to Africa, actually. But I went there for 3 months doing sales, commission-only job at 16. And then at 18, I used to go to America every summer playing basketball and just working to make money. And I was a lifeguard in America for one summer. So I was always just obsessed with traveling. But the great thing with my parents is they always supported me and said, go. They always... Since 16, not many. Now I see my nephew is 16. I can't imagine him going away for 3 months. But yeah, my parents always encouraged me to travel and to find my way and my path. And even when I became an entrepreneur in 2010, there's many years where it was really challenging. So to have people who support you and encourage you is very important. So yeah, it was great childhood, I would say.
Yeah, I love that. So you've been to US as well?
A lot, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and even with Miami, I was doing a lot of tours in 2011, 12, 13 with different companies, and I was speaking all over America. Wow. So I do 6 or 7 cities. I was in my 20s, it was cool. And in 2019, then I was speaking at an event in Mexico, and I said, with a friend, I said, let's go to Miami first. There was an event on there, so let's hang out in Miami. And then I just, I loved it so much. I'd been a few times before and I just stayed 1.5 years. And that was the cool thing about working for myself, was having that freedom to stay and working online and whatever. And so I love America. I love Miami because it's that Latin culture. I love the Latin culture. And yeah, it was great.
No, amazing. I love US too, and I would love to go to Miami, actually.
It's amazing. And I did a podcast before where someone interviewed me and asked me the difference between living in Dubai and living in Miami.
Yeah.
And obviously it's very different in so many ways, but it's very similar in a lot of ways as well, like the lifestyle and the sunshine and the nice restaurants and the culture, like the energy is kind of obviously it's a lot more depth and soul and everything in Miami. But, in terms of the quality of life, for me, my lifestyle is very similar in both places, actually, which is kind of cool.
Wow, very cool. And you always had this entrepreneurship mindset. You always wanted to help people, or?
Yeah, like everything I did involved helping people. When I look back, even, being a personal trainer or being in the lifeguard, everything we're working with people. I remember I fell in love one of the summers I was in America when I was a lifeguard. I started, one of the people was a DJ I got to know, and we had started throwing house parties, and I started DJing. And then when I came back to Ireland, one of my friends who was a DJ one night called me and asked me to cover for him. And I was like, I've never DJed. I only played in a house, I've never practiced. And I did it. And I ended up becoming a resident in that bar for like a year and a half and DJed in clubs and everything. And it was always because of the people, the effect on people, and then obviously speaking and sales and entrepreneurship and building businesses, like it's all about people, and coaching is all about people. So I guess my whole life has really been around, everything has been around people.
Yeah.
Now, everything I do, one-to-one coaching, group coaching, keynotes, or training companies, for me, I always wanted to be free. That was the thing, freedom, just to travel. And that's why I was so blessed to have parents who supported me to travel. But I love traveling, and I just think it's the best education, and you experience the world. And I always say to people, like, if you want to be more effective at communication and influence, you have to be more interesting. And to be more interesting, you have to live a bigger life. So you have to say yes to life. You have to travel. You have to experience. And that adds depth and texture to you, and that makes you more interesting, and that allows you to have a lot more tools to create the life you want.
Yeah, that's true. And you're open-minded as well, so you become open-minded. And
and for me, I'm coaching people from 20 countries. Everybody thinks, like Irish people, we often think, it's people are negative and small-minded, and it's true. There's a lot of people like that, but I've seen that every country. Like when you see people from so many countries, you realize we all have the same challenges. We all have same insecurities, doubts, fears. So we're all the same. Everyone, all of us, no matter what background or education or upbringing, like we all have that human issues, and travel is so great. But my soul was always craving travel, and entrepreneurship was a way of expressing myself. I never really liked authority. I never wanted to be told what to do. I went to to this day. Yeah, even my fiance says, you don't like rules. And I was like, I do not. I never met a person and I thought they should tell me what to do. Like I never. So for me, I'm a big fan of the entrepreneurial path. It's not an easy path. Obviously, it's challenging. It's lonely. It's, but it's a way of, I call it a vehicle of expression as an entrepreneur. What's your vehicle of expression? Like it's a vehicle to express yourself. And that's really cool because once you find that, you really get an alignment. I think you have all the powers of God and the universe behind you then to use your gifts. And I think you receive much more than if you try and force yourself to do something for the money or for recognition or for something else.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately people come back to, finding themselves, finding their truth, as I always say. I think that's the key,
Wow, I love that mindset. Yeah. And what is the most difficult moment that you've experienced in your life so far?
Wow.
That makes you the person that you are today.
You're asking so many deep questions.
Yeah, I know. I want to know.
So, again, I always think that entrepreneurial journey is very challenging. And I had many years, from 2010 to 2020 where there was a lot of challenges. And I think it's accumulation of those challenges, finding your way. And as an entrepreneur, you can never get too carried away. There's always something. Life is always happening. I always say the biggest, problems are a sign of life. Most people, I don't want any problems. But you have to have, the only people without problems are dead. They're in the ground.
Yeah.
Everybody else, if you're above the ground, you have problems. So for me, it's nothing. I have a chapter in my book that I'm writing, and it's called Your Chaos is Your Communication.
Okay.
Your chaos is your communication. So there's nothing really good or bad. It's just communication. So I don't really think there's any big one moment that was very difficult. I think there's all these different moments you have in your life, in your, especially as an entrepreneur, or maybe in relationships or your personal life or your health. I think people listening, they've been through multiple ones, right? So I'm just like that. I think I'm very lucky and blessed. I haven't had anything kind of major that stands out, but there's been lots of different challenges on a journey. And I think all of them accumulated makes they make you more aware, they make you more resilient, to make you more, you know yourself more. So I don't like to spend too much time on what's a problem or a challenge. I think everything is communication, it's contrast.
Yes.
It shows you what you want, shows you what you don't want. So I don't spend too much time on difficult things. I think life happens when you're alive.
Yeah, and I think everything's happening for you, not to you. So
That's one of the things I say all the time.
Really?
I say it all the time. All my clients hear that all the time from me. Even 100%. And when you shift to that mindset, it changes the energy of everything. So even if something is totally shit, right? Excuse my language. You say, but what if it's happening for me? I said this to a client yesterday. I said, what if you chose all of this before you were born? She was going through some challenges. And I said, what if you chose all of this before you were born for your highest good?
Yeah.
She was like, oh, it shifts the perspective. Like, okay, then you start asking yourself, okay, well, what could happen if I overcame this? If I get past this, what's there for me? Like, how could this maybe benefit me? Like, if I'm meant to overcome this, what's on the other side? Now suddenly there's maybe an excitement or there's a curiosity. Whereas if you're just looking at how bad things are, it's like, this is so bad. Why me? Poor me.
Yeah.
You know, but if everything's happening for my highest good and greatest joy, it shifts the energy and it shifts your thinking to, I always say curiosity leads to clarity. So if this happens for me, how, why, what's there? Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
Now when I'm curious, I get clarity. I get new answers and then that gives me more confidence. See what I'm saying? And I can walk. Whereas conclusions, if I make a conclusion like this is just the way it is, that closes a door. That builds a wall. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I've made a conclusion. So I always prefer curiosity over conclusions, you know, and that's just a philosophy.
Wow. Okay. And can you tell me how was your journey with healing? How is healing actually?
Healing?
Yes,
okay.
From your own traumas and your own limited belief.
Okay, so we're definitely going down a deep road today. I think, you know, one of the greatest compliments I ever got as a coach was someone said, I can tell you've done the work on yourself. And for sure, I believe that separates me from a lot of other people doing what I'm doing or doing something that they call the same coaching or whatever. For me, I think we have to walk the path. I think it's the bravest thing we can do to walk the path back to ourselves.
Yeah.
And to face ourselves and to learn from ourselves and from everything. So for me, I remember, because I've been obsessed with this world and personal development since like 2006, I just became obsessed with it. So I was reading 2 books a week and I was just going to every event I could. And, you know, for me, I remember, you know, I didn't find anyone I thought could help me in the way. I thought they don't care as much or they don't know as much. So I ended up kind of diving into ayahuasca as the plant medicine, and that was my way of discovering myself and trying to discover what was in the subconscious and what was buried deep. So I've had many experiences with that. I've done, you know, quite a few retreats and things, and that was my way of discovering, you know, what makes us us. That gave me a heightened sense of awareness, a deeper understanding, because it's a way of really self-exploration. And because ayahuasca removes the mind out of the way, because otherwise we can't access these parts of ourselves because our mind is too busy in protecting us. So this takes the lid off. It's quite scary at times, but it's very enlightening, and you can learn really a lot. So that was my journey. You know, I've done quite a bit of that. I talk a bit about it, you know, my own podcast and everything, but it was a way for me to go deep within. And I wouldn't say, you know, the healing style, I don't need to heal anymore. Like, for sure, it like that only shows you the way. You still have to walk the path. So, you know, my healing journeys, I think as humans, there's no arriving.
Yeah.
It's ongoing. As long as you're alive, you're evolving. And I think we're meant, our spirit wants to evolve. We're meant to kind of move higher through our awareness all the time. But that was a way for me to kind of explore, and, you know, also working with clients, helping them understand their stuff also sheds light for me to understand mine, right? And me understanding mine helps me help them understand theirs.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's kind of where where I got a deeper understanding of healing was through that, because they say one night with ayahuasca is like 2 years of psychotherapy. That's the one night, because it's so profound. Wow. It can last 4 or 5 hours. And I've done many nights. So it's been interesting, but I learned a lot. Now I'm in a different kind of stage. I think, you know, my relationship to, I would say, God has gotten, you know, reading the Bible more. Years ago, the way I was raised in Ireland, the way the culture was in Ireland, I didn't really have a great relationship. I didn't really like religion per se, and I still wouldn't be a fan of like how it's taught in some ways, you know, in Ireland and everything.
Yeah.
It's different everywhere. But for me, I've been building my relationship with God now, which has been beautiful. And I think that's a way of healing as well.
Yes, really.
Going within and finding your own personal relationship with God, you know. And if it's true religion, true church, whatever way is your way, but I think we all have a way back.
Okay.
And for me, I think if you're listening to your higher self, so like I used to always call it the universe or energy. I wasn't even comfortable with the words.
Yeah, of
now
course.
I have no problem, you know, really saying God, because I always believed in the metaphysical aspect that, you know, God is within us. We have to access that part of us. That spirit is the truth of us. So I think that's the journey we're all on. I think that's one of the best ways of healing as well.
Okay.
Is finding that higher self, you know, and which is the God in us, I believe. And if you do that through your religion, whatever it is, I think for everybody, no matter where they're from in the world, as long as they have a relationship with God, for them is most important, you know. And I think everything else human is non-truth. You have to find truth.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So if you can move your mind, and the mind is filled with illusion and doubt and fear. So I think it's up to everyone to find their personal relationship with the universe, with God, with whatever they believe, but something higher than themselves. Because the humanness, I think, limits us potentially, and because there's so much noise going on.
That's true.
It's a deep hole, right? You can dive into, and there's not so much you can say, but that's my thoughts on healing.
Yeah.
Go within, find something higher than yourself, and but having someone to help you navigate that is very powerful.
Okay.
You know, and that's why I think coaching is so powerful, is having someone to help guide you, to shine the light on where to look. And obviously, I think a relationship with a higher power helps with that as well.
Yes. So you have a strong relationship to spirituality.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. And again, I'm very conscious of the words I use, because words are so limiting, right?
Yeah.
Even I don't like calling myself a coach or anything like that, because there's so many people who call themselves a coach.
True.
So I always say, like, you call me whatever you want, but it's how you make people feel that matters. It's how you impact people. So that's the beautiful thing about, for me, even having a podcast or opportunities like this. You show what you're about without having to say, I am this or I am that. So for me, I'm very conscious. Words are very limited. Your vocabulary, words can only take you so far.
Yeah.
And again, some people are sensitive to words and they have resistance to words. Even some of the things I might have said, people might have resistance already. Maybe not. But it's, you know what I mean? It's challenging to find the right words to describe something so profound sometimes. And spirituality is often overused sometimes as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, but I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I totally get it. And but I think that spirituality, people make it complicated, and it's so easy.
100%, but it's simple. And the closer to truth you get, the more simple it gets. When people make things complex, they're moving away from truth. Truth is the simplest thing of all.
Yeah.
You know, so there's no need to complicate. Anyone who's complicating it, I think they're too busy. They're trying too hard with their vocabulary to make it sound or themselves sound something, and that's not.
Yeah,
you can
true.
sense that.
I have more soft question now.
Okay, great.
And now you've been coaching people for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yes. And what is the most common limit belief that people have?
Yeah, so kind of connected to my last answers, but I had a bit of an awakening a couple of years ago. And, you know, for many years, I was kind of in that mainstream personal development, right? Like, think positive and do this and have whatever. And I had this awakening one night, really, when I was like, oh, we don't need to go and get more. We have to let go of everything that we've collected that's not for our highest good. So, you know, my kind of coaching, one of my coaching programs, my book and the podcast is called Back to Me. So for me, what it meant, and it's very connected to your reborn. And the idea was that we just have to let go of all of this stuff that we're gathering, that we're buying into, that we're believing, that we've put on ourselves, like these beliefs, and we have to let go, not get more. And that was a huge shift. And I think a lot of the beliefs people have, again, they've collected through their childhood, from their parents, from their friends, relationships, community, their college, their job, their city, their country. So a lot of the stuff people have collected is not really them. So if we can let go of everything that's not us, that's not really who Aidan is or who Ava is, what are we left with? We're left with the real Ava
Yeah.
or the real Aidan. So when you let go of everything that's not truth, you're left with truth. And that's the beautiful thing. So, I do often exercises with clients like you have real limits and you have perceived limits. And you have to write down some of the things I couldn't do a podcast. For example, maybe at one time you believe that. Is that a real limit or a perceived limit? It's perceived limit. It's not real. I couldn't become a fashion designer and live in Dubai. Is that a real limit or perceived? It's perceived. Most of the beliefs we have are perceived.
Yeah.
And even in the word belief is the word lie. So a lot of the beliefs we have aren't even true. They're lies that we've told ourselves over and over. So the whole letting go thing is, for me as a coach, what I like to do, and I think it's kind of refreshing. I don't hear many people talking like this, but we have to reveal who we are. We have to remember who we are. We don't have to go out to build ourselves or to be more. Now there's certain aspects we're building, right? But really it's about letting go. And, most of the beliefs people have are just borrowed.
Yeah.
Unconsciously, and they've kept it. It's like when people borrow something from you, they don't give it back. They borrow money, they borrow a pen, they borrow clothes, they don't give it back. Well, we're borrowing beliefs all the time.
Yeah.
From our parents, from our teachers, from our city, from our country, from what we see on social media, and we think that's the way it is. And then we label ourselves with that, and then we imprint those things onto us, and it becomes harder and harder to be true and to be free.
Yeah.
We become weighed down by these false things that aren't ours, these burdens. I often say they're like the screensaver on your phone. When you put a new screensaver on and you keep noticing it, but after 3 days, you don't even notice anymore.
Yeah,
you forget
that's
it,
true.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the same with all these burdens, these beliefs, these fears, these doubts. You wear them so long, you forget you have them. And you're wondering why you're not moving forward in your business or in your health or in your relationship, because you have all of these unconscious programs. And that's why it's so great to work with people, and because you help them, again, bring the truth out to the surface and let go of what's not them. And now they have real power because you are enough already. You don't need to get more, be more, have more.
Yeah.
You need to remember who you are, let go of what you're not, and then reveal that. And how beautiful is that? That you're enough
Amazing.
already. That's just my philosophy.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And coaching is one of the things that helps to remove all these limited beliefs, you think?
Well, when it's done the right way, for me, again, as the coach, like I have a lot of experience, so I mentor, I tell like I'm telling you. But when I coach a client, I ask the question so you can find that truth yourself. Because it's way more profound when you realize it.
Yeah.
That's for sure someone can tell you, but for me, questions are the answer. The right question is always the right answer you're looking for. So I like to be able to, ask the clients the right question. So coaching doesn't help you do it, or isn't the reason you do it, but it facilitates it. Like you are the solution. You are the one.
Yeah.
You don't need anything, but coaching helps you find that truth faster.
Okay.
And that's what I love about it. People always say to me, oh, thanks so much for it. No, you did it. I say, you're the one who did it. I just helped you. I just showed you where to look, but you have to do the work. And that's why most people don't change, because they don't want to do the work.
That's true.
Because it's messy. Like to face yourself, like some of the knots have been tied for years. It takes time to untie those knots that you have in yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, I just help people figure out where those knots are and how to let go of them. And I'm blessed because, that's what I do every day. It's getting to help people, and it's a really beautiful thing,
But it's so difficult to face all your fears and all what you are, actually.
It's the hardest
difficult.
thing. It's the hardest thing, because it's so uncomfortable, it's so messy.
Yeah.
And the other reason why it's hard is because the world is trying to pull you away from yourself. The world wants you, what I call, outside of yourself. It doesn't want you back to me. Because when you're true to yourself and you know who you are, guess what you need? Nothing. Because you know who you are.
Yeah.
You want silence, you want love, you want peace, you want health, you don't need to buy, to eat, to drink, to scroll, to complain. So the world tells you, it wants you as a consumer. It wants you in need mode. I need. But when you're true to yourself and you know who you are, you're not in need mode. You're in whatever you want, you have. You're in receiving mode. So one of the challenges for people is the world keeps you distracted.
Yeah.
Not facing yourself. It tells you get this external stuff to keep you and gives you those dopamine hits, gives you this satisfaction, this pleasure. But the true joy and fulfillment comes from revealing who you truly are, knowing yourself. Like people always talk about self-love. I say self-love is miles away. Forget about self-love. You have to like yourself before you can love yourself.
That's true.
Before you can like yourself, you have to know yourself. And how do you know yourself is when you begin to trust yourself. That's when you start to really like yourself, when you can trust, because you start to know, who am I really? When I know who I am, I can trust myself. When I trust myself, I can like myself. And when I like myself, then I can love myself. So we have to get to know who we are first. And again, the world doesn't want us in that place. The world is telling you the opposite, that you need all of these things. And that's why it's so challenging.
Yeah, totally agree.
So having a support, like coaching from my perspective, what I do, it's clarity, it's strategy, but it's the accountability then. So like, I see you next week, it holds you accountable. See you next week, it holds you accountable, because otherwise you drift off into the abyss of the world, into need, spend, complain, buy, eat, drink, shop. And the world today is full of distraction.
Yeah.
Everything, and I enjoy movies and everything as much as anybody else, but everything on social media, everything on your Netflix and everything, there's so much propaganda and agenda. It just wants you to be distracted.
That's true.
Yeah.
I was telling that actually on my last episode. So
really?
Definitely I was
There you go.
thinking about social media and the impact that it can have on our mental health.
Yeah.
So
Comparison mode, distraction mode. Yeah. We have to get back to our truth. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how we find true freedom. You know?
I love that. And do you think that we have to become a completely different person in order to become successful?
No, you have to remember who you are. You are enough already. Like, I'd have you write down, I am enough. Like, that's the first thing, right? Have it written across this table, huge letters, like, I am enough.
Yeah.
You don't have to become anything. You're already enough. You've just forgotten who you are. Most people have forgotten their power. They've forgotten their truth. And because we believe everything from our parents bring us into the world, but they have less than what we have now in terms of awareness and knowledge. They can only give you what they had, but they didn't have much. But we still believe and we hold on to everything that came. We think we're not enough. We buy into all the beliefs. Whereas when you let go of all the stuff that's not you, you realize, I'm full, I am complete. So the answer is no, you do not need to become a different person. You just need to know who you are. I'm getting chills now. Like, that's all there is. You just have to remember who you are.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful as well, because it's so simple, because you're enough already. It's just all those things you don't like about yourself. That's all been, all the qualities or personality elements that we build in ourselves through our life are to protect us. When we're younger and we're scared if our parents are arguing, or something happens, or a brother or sister gets more attention, or you're an only child, and for all these different things as kids, or your parents can't go to your music or your sport, or something happens, parents split up. All of these things create trauma, emotional reactions. And then you develop these personality traits for protection, because you're scared and you fear. You don't know what it is. You just have a fear, or you fear insecure. So sometimes that's why people are talkative. That's why some people are loud. Some people are quiet. Like, all these things, they develop out of a kind of a protection. So one of the things I say to people often is to love the parts of yourself you don't like. Because the parts of yourself you don't like, you have to love that. Because when you love that, you free it then. Because the parts of yourself maybe you judge yourself for were probably, I'm not saying definitely, but probably created when you were fearful, when you were insecure. And that's why when I work with people, is help them understand those things, and then we let go of those things. And then you let go of them, you're like, okay, I'm just me now. I'm enough already. All those years of self-judgment was unnecessary. But who's telling you that day to day? Where are you hearing that? You're not.
No,
you're saying you need to get this, you need to have that, you need to think positive, set goals, beat this one. It's all illusion.
Yeah.
So that mainstream personal development, it's been like this for years, keeps you going like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you're never making any progress. Whereas when you let go of everything you are, now you're free. Now you can truly ascend.
And do you believe in think positive? Because I hear that's everywhere, so I want to have your opinion. I don't believe in anything. For sure, I believe in being more optimistic and have it but I don't believe there's negative or positive or good or bad. I think that's a desire for control.
And some people might have some resistance to that and it might not make sense yet. But I promise you, if you continue to work on yourself, whoever's listening, you'll find that as you develop more awareness and you become more self-aware and you detach more from how you think things are, you'll see there is no positive or negative. Everything is as it is. It's only the meaning you give things. It's the story you attach. Does it suit your preference or not? Because things we like are good for us. Oh, that's good because I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad because I don't like it. So I don't believe in good or bad or positive or negative. Everything is as it is. And again, things are it gives you contrast. Things you don't like is if you're in a job that's challenging or toxic, or you have a boss who's mean, or you're in a relationship that's not serving you, it's communication. It's telling you to move your ass.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not about think positive or complain about it.
Yeah.
So that's communication. This is not for you. Move.
Yeah.
How simple is that?
Yeah.
But we spend time judging, complaining, trying to fix. There's a lesson here. That's the free will part. Or the free will is, do I learn from joy or from pain? Do I learn now or later? But you're always going to learn. Like what if you chose that? So I love when difficult situations come into our life and difficult people, because I think it activates us. It wakes us up. So that bad relationship, it's eventually you're going to keep going. And eventually you're going to learn the lesson. You're going to wake up. You're going to shed a layer. Oh, I'm light now.
Yeah.
Now I can move. You could have done it 6 months earlier, 6 years later, but you didn't because maybe you weren't ready. So everything is perfect. That bad boss, the client you lose, the deal that falls through, everything is communication. Everything is for your highest good. And when you look at it that way, it's like there's no good or bad then. There's nothing positive. It's just, it is what it is. What's for me? Where am I going? Who am I becoming? You know?
Yeah.
And that's a different philosophy. Like curiosity leads to clarity, clarity leads to confidence. But don't just make conclusions and think and for me, it's ongoing. I get caught up too, like, but you have to step back. You have to create some space to be the observer. And when you create space, then that can dissipate and dissolve into something else. But as long as you're stuck to it and judging it, criticizing, complaining, you're feeding it, you're keeping it alive, and it owns you then.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you so much. Really, I love that vision, and I agree at 100%.
Okay.
And I saw a statistic. It says that 5% of people only achieve their dreams. Okay. So what do you think stops most people to achieve their goals?
I'd say it's everything we've talked about so far today.
Yeah.
All of that illusion, all of that, again, I think it's an unwillingness to walk that path towards yourself, back to yourself. It's unwillingness to be curious. It's, too much, like I believe surrender in a good way. You should surrender to the universe, surrender to what comes. Everything is like, let it guide you. But it's almost this, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's like giving up almost, it's like it's beyond surrender. It's like there's no fight for people. You know what I mean? They believe everything that they think. They condemn themselves by making conclusions. They think it's just the way it is. So I love, seek and you shall find. Right? Ask and you shall receive. But most people stop seeking. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to seek always. You have to be curious always. You have to be asking questions. Everything is possible, but you have to be willing to question things. So I think one of the reasons people fall short is, number one, everything they're looking for is outside themselves, right? It's not truly what they want. They believe what they think they want, versus what's in their heart. So I talk about not mindfulness, heartfulness. Like get into the heart, find your truth. You use your imagination with your heart and you're going to find your truth. You should be able to touch it, taste it, smell it, hear it, feel it. If it's just something, oh, that sounds good or that looks cool, that's not really for you. You're right. That's just an idea of something that sounds good. So maybe you're not meant to get it. And you're like, why can't I get it? Because it's not for you. You're so worried trying to get this, but there's a miracle over here. But you're not even seeing it because you think you want this, but you don't. So people, they have to not give up. They have to be willing to question what they really want. Mm-hmm. They have to find, also they have so much distraction. Like they want better health, better relationships, better business, better this, better that.
Yeah.
Where does your brain focus first?
Yeah.
There's too many things. So that's why I tell my clients to work in seasons, to find, there's certain areas of their life that need more attention at different times. So when you take inventory of your life, like what season am I in? Am I going to focus on my business? Does my relationship need attention? Does my health need attention? My fitness, my money, my friendships, my parents? Like what area of my life should I put more heat into?
Okay.
And that gives you focus, and your brain wants to know what you want specifically. But we're all distracted. We have so much noise, the brain doesn't know what to focus on.
Yeah.
So that's why in January, I want to be rich and fit and healthy and best relationship. And your brain's like, where do I go first? I don't know.
Yeah.
So it does nothing. And that's why by April, everyone's still, by January, by February, everyone's no change.
Yeah, that's
Whereas if
true.
you pick one thing and say, okay, this is what I want to focus on, boom, let's go all in on that. You have to create a vision that consumes you. And that's going to pull you then. So instead of pushing yourself, you're being pulled by a vision.
Okay.
Right? So you don't want to push all the time. Like that's why I don't believe in discipline.
Oh, you don't believe?
I don't like discipline.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm not saying it doesn't serve a purpose sometimes, but it's not to be plugging this book again, but it's another chapter called Awareness Over Discipline. I don't think discipline is the answer. I think awareness is the answer. Because when you have awareness, you're choosing, when you know who you are, like what I talked about, you're choosing from your highest self. You know who you are. So you're just choosing. For example, there are certain foods you don't eat, right?
Yeah.
How much discipline do you need for those foods?
Nothing.
Tell me one food you don't eat.
I don't eat.
Give me one thing you don't eat. You've never in your life, or you haven't eaten it since you're a kid. If someone offered it to you, you'd say no. Give me one food.
Pickles.
Pickles. So I have a plate of pickles here. How much discipline you need to say no?
No discipline.
Zero.
Yeah.
You have an awareness of yourself. So you say no. But I have this chocolate here. Oh, maybe I need some discipline. Right? So it depends on what it is.
Yeah.
But if you have awareness, like I like to get up early and move and start my day. That doesn't need discipline. That needs awareness. It needs truth. I know who I am, so I choose from that place. You get me?
Yeah.
People who go out and drink on the weekends, but they don't really want to drink because they don't know themselves enough to trust themselves. So their friends invite them out and I have to. I don't want to miss it because they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So they think they have this magic in their friends, but there's a miracle here that they're missing out on because they're saying yes because they don't know themselves. So awareness is the key. And when you're fully aware, you can do everything. You choose from that. Now, I'm not saying, like, I'm not there yet, but that's the mission. That's where we should be aiming for is, I want to be so aware that I say yes and no with ease. Like, that's the highest level. Then why you want discipline? To push yourself every day. I need to get up early. I need to work out.
That's true.
I need to do this. The whole life is work. That's not life. Life is a dance. Life is play. So you want awareness, not discipline. I'm not saying discipline won't serve you for a while, but I promise you don't want to force yourself to do things for the next 70 years. It's much easier when you can just choose, right?
That's true.
So that's why awareness is key.
So do you think we have to put 100% of our focus on something in order to achieve it?
Generally speaking, yes. I mean, I always say be hot or be cold, but don't be lukewarm. Because life is not fun lukewarm, right?
Yeah.
It's better hot or cold. So for sure, there's certain things require attention all the time, like, your health and everything like that. And your own peace of mind should always be there. But there's certain aspects of your life, whether it's, career or money, whether it's relationships or fitness, there's times you have to put more attention, more heat. And your brain loves specific. It loves clear, specific instruction. You have something in your brain called the reticular activation system, and it filters out the noise.
The what, sorry?
Reticular activation system,
okay.
The RAS. And it's like when you see something that you like, and then you see it everywhere. And how I see it everywhere. And it was always there, but your brain didn't notice it. But when you say, this is important to me, you have an emotional reaction, it's written down, the brain says, well, this is important. If you hear someone, if you're out today in Dubai Mall and you hear Ava, you'll turn around.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's your name, it's important to you. But there's a million other names you don't hear.
Yeah,
but Ava's important to you.
Yeah.
All right? So your brain loves knowing because it wants to save energy. So that's why a vision is so important. Like, why don't people achieve their goals? First of all, goals shouldn't be the goal. The vision is the mothership. The vision is the North Star. Goals help you maintain the vision. So if you want to be healthy, running a 5K or a 10K or eating healthy is just maintaining the vision of health. If you want a good relationship, communication, working on yourself, these things are just part of the puzzle of the vision, right? So the vision is the full jigsaw. The goals and the targets are just little pieces of that. So you want to have a vision, and then your brain's going to focus on that. It's going to seek out things, and then you're going to receive insights. You're going to say, ooh, let me do that. Ooh, let me do this. And where's those ideas coming from? It's coming because the vision is yours already. It's a connection to that universal power, that power that's there for you. But we don't tap into that because we don't have a vision. We don't have clarity. We don't know who we are. See, so everything comes back to who am I? Getting back to me. Getting to truth. It all makes sense to me anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And do you believe of having a routine that you follow every day in order to achieve your goals as well?
Yeah, so for sure practices help, again, because the brain wants something that's a reflex, that's a habit, it saves energy, it's automatic. That's why new things are so challenging. So if you always go to bed late and get up late, getting up early is a challenge because it's a different program. So for sure, ritual. I like the word ritual.
Okay.
For me, words are very powerful. I always say to my clients, don't be casual with your language. You know, casualness leads to casualties. And you think, what does a casual language, what could be a casualty? Well, the casualty, the death is your dream, your energy, your spirit. So don't be casual with your language. So for me, for example, routine reminds me of like school and this and that. For me, I like a ritual, right?
Okay.
So, but some people like the word routine, a morning routine, a night routine, whatever. So yeah, I think they definitely, absolutely can help. The key is to find one for you. Some people, like even for me, sometimes I love to work in the morning. Sometimes I love to run in the morning. It depends on what season I'm in. It depends your energy. But don't try and force yourself to do something just for the sake of doing it. Like life is about living, I believe, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Very powerful. And I have a question for you. Okay. Are you happy now in your life?
I would say happiness is something that's an interesting word because I think fulfillment and joy and contentment are, you know, again, words is hard to put in. Like, what is happy? Like, do I feel happiness every day? Absolutely. Is there moments where you don't feel happy? Yeah, there's moments you don't feel happy. So I think sometimes people put pressure on themselves by trying to, you know, have to be happy. There's moments like, again, life is coming all the time. You're going to have challenges. So if there's moments where you feel a little bit down, it's okay. Like you embrace, that's communication. It's telling you. It's just times you feel emotionally, whether it's in your business, you know, frustrated, if you feel lonely. So I often say for an entrepreneur, it's just a thin line between freedom and loneliness, you know. Mm-hmm. Whatever you feel it, right? So for me, I think, you know, obviously I'm very content in my life. I'm very happy in Job at CS. I'm very happy with my life. But for me, I'm very aware to say, oh, are you happy? Yes or no? Right? It's not so binary like yes or no. Life is filled with a variety of colors.
Yeah.
As long as you're moving towards yourself, you're finding your truth, I feel like there's natural joy. Mm-hmm. And that means more to me than like, okay, I'm happy. Right?
Okay.
Because even sometimes happy can be like, I'm satisfied for now, but do I feel joy? Like, do I feel alive? Do I feel grateful to be alive? There's so much more than just happy, yes, no. But am I content in my life? Yes. Do I have joy in my life? Yes. Am I fulfilled? Yes. I love what I'm doing. But is there other areas I want to work on? Do I want to achieve more things? Do I want to move? For sure. Do I have frustrations within myself? Absolutely. Have I doubts as much as anybody else? Do I have, you know, do I self-sabotage myself sometimes? Absolutely. Do I make bad choices? 100%. That's what I say to guys all the time is like, life is happening. So let's not waste time judging how we feel. Let's be curious about what it means, what it's telling us, and let's use that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Thank you so much. And what's your vision for the next coming years?
That's a great question. I was just talking about this recently that I had to renew my vision because I'm kind of living my vision now. You know, I live in Dubai with my fiance. Life is good. You know, live in a beautiful place. I'm helping so many people around the world. I speak at so many events and work with so many companies and great people. Like I'm living my vision. You know, I ran the Dubai Marathon. I just did a high rocks. Like now I had an injury, so I'm getting back in shape. Okay. So I've been injured for a year now, which has been a big challenge. So my vision there is to get back healthy and fit again because the injury was really challenging. Someone who played sport their whole life and then you can't run or can't.
Yeah.
It was tough. So I'm redoing my vision right now, actually. So part of it is the health and fitness. And now I'm kind of creating, okay, what does the next stage look like, you know? So for sure, yeah, there's a few different things, you know? And it's also about expansion. You know, that's my theme for this year is expanding. Like I have 2 books I'm writing. You know, there's been
2 books.
2, yeah. There's been challenges. You know, one of them has been ready almost a year. There's just some finishing touches, and there's been some challenges, and I'm going to talk about that in the future when I do get it out.
Okay.
But it's an interesting journey of you know, our own personal journey. That's why I say there's people look at me and say, "Oh, you must have it figured out," but I don't. And I think we have to be vulnerable in that way and share that because there's nobody has it figured out. I coach some people at a fairly high level, people who have very successful jobs. They have financially successful. They're at the highest level they appear, but they have challenges too. Mm-hmm. Everybody does. You still got to wake up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror and see how you feel. You know. So yeah. So my vision is in motion right now, but I'm very happy to say I'm living the vision from like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I'm living that now, which is great.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Aidan, for being here today. And I learned a lot of things for myself as well. And cool. I think it will inspire a lot of people.
That's the you know, mission. That's my only hope for people is to bring some value. I always say I don't want to convince people of anything. This is for me what's true and what I've found in my journey. And if I can just activate people to at least question some things, like for me, that's a win.
Yeah.
And, you know, this podcast and people like you who are questioning things and wanting to bring value and share insights, I think it's such a valuable time in the world today because there's so much noise and crap out there. To bring some, you know, opportunity for people to hear different perspectives, I think is a real gift. So thank you for having me. If people want to hear more, they can find me on Instagram at Aidan O'Brien Official. So it's AIDAN O'Brien Official. And then my website is theaidanobrien.com. So THE, Aidan O'Brien. But I'm happy to talk to anyone. I love, if people do like it, I like to hear what stands out. Of course. So, you know, so anyone listening, feel free to send me a message if anything stuck out, you know.
Okay, perfect.
But it's been great to be here. So thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. So thank you so much for being here with us today. And I look forward to see you on the next episode. And I see you soon. Bye.